Oh, actually, no, I'm gonna remember to do introduction. We have a new staff member from the city, a new staff member from Becky, so if we could just go around the room and, do a short introduction.
Sure, I'll start.
Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Janice Ruin. I'm the neighborhood services manager. Just started a month ago today, so we're getting rolling. A little bit about my background. I said some of this yesterday, but social worker at heart. So I come from the county, DHS, Eau Claire, and then I also have some experience in Will County too at DHS as well. So I'm happy to be.
Ford, and I work in the engineering department with parking.
Erin Collins, Executive Director of Becky. Kate Pelton, I'm the new Strategic and Civic Coordinator. She's close to me, probably. What's that?
Jason Monk for, Nick Meyer from Point One Local Store.
William McKinnon, all that came from. John Wilson, Liberty Television. Joe Miller, investment.
Paul Robertson, Melanie Margaret Call.
Stephanie Brick, Operations Manager of the Ambassador Program for Block by Block.
Aaron Roth, City of Eau Claire Neighborhood Services.
I'm Julia Johnson, with the puzzle group and the chairperson, and Tim, we introduced a couple new, staff members from the city, Janice and Neighborhood Services Director. Manager, and Kate Felton, and she's our kind of bid liaison for Becky.
I'm Jim O'Brien.
Thank you all. Okay, so the public comment period is a new standing item on our agenda. Is anyone here to elaborate? And even explain to me, I think I need to, like, if there were people that weren't already on the agenda, I would open it up for up to 3 minutes of comment or public comment because we host open meetings.
Yep, up to 3 minutes per person, 20 minutes for the session, no more than 20 minutes unless the chair approves longer. Needs to be on every meeting, I was told by legal, so it's new to me as well.
We'll see that on our agenda going forward. And I suppose if you were ever talking to other business members or community members about the bid and they had something they wanted to bring to the bid, that would be a great tool for you to say, welcome to one of our meetings. We have public comment period at the beginning of each of our meetings. Okay, any questions on that? We'll move on to previous meeting minutes. We're looking for approval of the minutes that are in your packet from our meeting in August. Jason Munn. By Crystal Halverson. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving our meeting minutes indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Then that motion passes and we move on to our current financials. There are two sets of financials. The first, the city provided, they have the blue bar as the header. We've gone over this before, but a lot of the spending is in those prepayments to Decky. The ones that are in the like separate munis codes are mostly what was spent before we started our service contract with Becky. And then kind of the more itemized items from recent expenditures can be seen in the financials provided by Becky in pages 8 through 10 or 8 through 11 of our packet. Number 12 has like a kind of running list of the monies that have been spent to date with Becky. Any questions on our financials or requests for further explanation? Then we'd be looking for a motion to approve our financials. our names. Miller. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Our financials are approved and we'll move on to beautification grants. We'll get an update, from Erin, but also the reason that it said action required is I see this as our last opportunity to change any of the grant application materials or requirements before we open it up to applications for 2026. So as a reminder, we have $20,000 budgeted. Our current application has been modified a few times. This will be the fourth year that we're doing it. And currently it says that anyone can apply up to $10,000. And then it asks if like partial grants would be still helpful for them. So if there was anything that we wanted to change, we want to change it now because soon we'll start advertising that grant. And the first time that we'll be looking at applications will be in February. And then according to our current guidelines, it says that grants will be considered until all allocated funds are spent. So it's possible that we advertise it, we, allocate our $20,000 in February and we're done for 2026. So roughly that's our current structure. Hindsight probably should have had a copy of the grant application in our packet. It is online. I discussed, have we run into any issues? Like, are there glaring problems that we want to fix? Jackie doing the majority of the administering said that, like, no, there's nothing that is broken that needs to be fixed. So it would be more like, well, I really think that we should be allocating $5,000 per grant instead of 10,000, or I think we should be able to go up to 10,000, or I don't think it should be able to go to signage anymore. Like, is there any changing criteria that you guys want to request before we move on with our process as planned?
I would like to see, like you said, $5,000 grant. It's kind of a help this instead of, if the project is 10 grand, hopefully the state would come also. But that's my opinion. We could give out more small grants than two big ones.
Matching fund,
Matching funds.
writing a lot of grants.
Can you remind me if the application is clear that it can be a tenant or an owner, and if it's a tenant, you barely get owner permission, can you change the building? That's
Yep.
all in there.
That's all in there, and it doesn't, the project has to be in the district, so for instance, when Joe, you guys know, like, Joe Miller, just the, mural, he obviously doesn't own a business in the district, but it's for the district purpose. That was on public property, so we have a section on how to handle that and the permissions you need first, and then similar to, John's building with the company, owner permission first, and then project move forward. So you guys had 3 murals go up and, facade improvement, for the regular landscape, and all were completed timely and it's beautiful. So congratulations.
And to John's point, do we ask what's the total investment in the project and how much are you asking for? Like, we can see if there's additional money.
Budgets are asked for, so like, what you intend on using the funds for, and then having that backed up with a bid or quote, but not.
Well, we do have, on the phone, we do ask the question if they're seeking other funding sources than us. We do have that question on the floor, but we don't require it.
Right.
So we could, be very gentle about it and say priority may be given to projects that have, additional funding besides the grant money.
Getting that neighborhood,
Is that-
grant money is
Well,
amplified.
I just like earlier, the matching fund, so the owner for the renter, maybe the renter wants this project done, and so we go to the landlord, okay, I'm gonna see if I can get the city to put up 5, can you put up 5 to do my mural that helps my business to attract customers?
I think 2 of your grants, did that. Matt Pavish's building, the owner of the building did invest additional funds to complete the project, so that the funds you provided covered what was in the application. And then, Joe Mauer did seek additional funding for his project. It was much more than the $10,000. It was roughly closer to 20 and, seeked out personal, financing for that, through the community. What was the other one? And Leona's, I don't think would have happened with the matching.
Well, you could see their entire renovation as
Yeah.
what they put into the.
Well, exactly, right, so you're right.
Okay, so are you advocating for it being a requirement rather than a
No,
statement that says priority?
I'm just putting it out there to see if all members think that's a good idea, if not, we'll move on. But,
I think that also when we review the application, don't we take that? I think, is there a spot in the application talking about that? Like when they're applying for it?
Yeah, we definitely say like priority will be given to, like, you know, signage that is artistic rather than like, you know, just very like plain. Like there are statements that kind of explain what we're looking for.
Is there a spot that the applicant could put in there, you know, funds you will be matching or something along those lines that they can agree, I don't know, that they're going to contribute towards the project?
I think they can clarify it a little bit more for them. Again, I think they provide their scope of the project and often it's more than the amount asked for, but I think we could clarify that a little bit more so that you guys are seeing that in the application stage.
Just ask the full project cost and then ask for the.
How about if we have the grant application in front of us and we'll talk about things like this, because it's, I mean, I think, you know, I can't find it right now.
I'm sorry.
That's why,
It's on the DECI website, so I can direct you there.
okay.
So that's an excellent point.
Yeah, and the point being, I think people are saying we want to maybe have a benchmark for how much of grant money goes in the individual,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what John's saying. And then also, what else are you doing to try to fund your project? I think that makes sense. I believe it's in the application. But we're talking more about what we're gonna do when the time comes to look at these, as opposed to what's in the actual application. Because if I'm in the application, maybe the executive committee executive should look at that first and say, hey, you should change this and bring it to us to look at the application, right?
Yeah, and we often reach out for missing pieces, so we won't let an application sit there that gets in front of you that doesn't have that. So we reached out to, the senior center when we had questions about, you know, exactly what that funding would be used for and if they had received other money that could be used for that. But yeah, we'll just make it more upfront and more clear in the initial, and maybe having a rubric for you guys when scoring might be helpful, so we can take a look at it.
In our form, we have a required supplemental documents listed, and one of those is a financial plan with itemized costs.
Right.
Yeah. Is in there.
I would say staying closer to what we currently have, just because the conversation that we've had in the last couple of years is that no one is applying for the grant. So to make a hurdle right out of the gate of how much are you putting into the project, I think could deter people more than invite people into the program.
That's why I was hoping that we might lean towards adding something to the flavor of priority will be given to projects that have matching contributions from other sources, so that we can be clear that this is something we're looking for, but not making it a requirement that, you know, if we're in August and we, you know, don't have options and we still like the project, that we aren't going against our own criteria.
haven't we always spent all of the grant money? No.
Except for the first year.
Yeah, because people don't know about it. That's more.
And you increased your funding recently to 20,000 from 10,000. So, as since Jackie took over, we have been doing, we do a walkabout. So we actually go into businesses and talk to them, and then, have it on the website all year long, as well as we'll do it on email direct to all of the bid contacts we have.
But if we don't need it, we don't, and maybe it's good that everything gets fixed up and we don't need it.
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay, so, I would be comfortable, since it is deciding how we spend bid money, if you authorize Erin and I to clarify the application to make, it clear that priority will be given to projects that have matching contributions from other sources, and that might include making sure that the language around total project cost is clear and reflects that, so that we have a better chance of getting that information for us to consider. So that's my motion, and I'd be looking for a second, and the motion is to authorize myself and Erin to modify the grant application to include the information that priority will be given to projects that have matching contributions from other sources. Any further discussion on that change to the application for the beautification? Great. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, then that motion is approved. And are there any other questions about the beautification grants before we move on to block by block and Stephanie? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here today. We have not discussed block by block much since the ambassadors have started working this year. So feel free to give us kind of a larger picture in addition to introducing yourself, and then maybe the good news that I just heard yesterday.
I'll make sure I let them know. Well, good morning. I'm Stephanie Carter. I did actually change my last name. I run the block by block program for the city of Eau Claire. We're contracted through them up until 2027. We are downtown cleaning up. Our main priority is outreach for the unhoused individuals or anybody in need of service. We get the resources and do warm handoffs between the individual and the entity. So housing, TCT, Haven House, the new day resource center, transit. We try to walk with them through life instead of just pushing them through programs. In a little slide here that you guys have, I made a funny comment. Within the last 8 months, we have cleaned up 157 Chevy Impala inside of garbage. That's a lot of garbage. And in the meantime, we were with the police and the city and different entities cleaning up twice a week for the last month. So that's not even, if you want to call it, a hair of what it could have been without the city being involved too. So we've been removing stickers from all the signs, trying to make sure we contact businesses as best we can. I have a business contact that does most of businesses. His name is Kurt. Can't miss him. He's 6'4" and a very large man. So if he's coming into your business in yellow, we're just here to make sure everything's good. If you guys need something or if anything's going on, let us know. We'll do our best to at least address the issue with the right entity in the city, or that versus not knowing who to contact, or for Aaron over here getting 902 phone calls. There's four of us and one of him. So I want to make sure I support neighborhood services as well. And if there's anything we can get a hold of the city or do what we can. I work really closely with Janice, and I'm really excited that she's on board with us too. So I want to make sure that we have extra bodies and extra eyes so you guys feel heard, especially as businesses. We want to make sure that if somebody is undesirable, you can give us a call. We do have we call it a cheat sheet, when to call the cops and when to call block by block. So that way you have that nice clarification. There's still going to be gray areas. You can't prevent that, but at least you'd have that information. Bridget and I have actually been handing them out. So if you've seen them with your employees, it did come from me in the PD. And it's been going well so far. Within this, It has been a lot of getting our footing down the last 8 months. I have to be able to get contacts. I have to be able to have research and make sure I have that information. So it's been a very long stride, going between Billy and Janice. You know, we have to make sure we have the correct footing starting out for not only us, but neighborhood services. Trying to make sure we're all on the same page, working with the police directly as well. And I would love to work with all of the North Barstow bid too. I want to make sure that you're heard. We do clean up the parking ramps as best we can. Again, there's only 4 of us and we do 30 city blocks. So I can't guarantee that if you call me and I'm over at Wilson Park, that if I walk to Wilson Park, I can't walk to the North Barstow bid within 5 minutes. I can't. We recently got a truck 2 days ago. So now with those phone calls, if I'm available, I can be a lot quicker. So I'm hoping that'll be a benefit for downtown as well. Trying to make sure everybody's on the same page and understanding that I can't fly. I wish I could. Another really good thing I like to mention is when you call us into your business for an undesirable individual, it is your business. So if your employee were to call me or you were to call me, I legally can't call the police standing in your business. Now, if the individual and I moved out to the sidewalk, that is now public property. I can make that call. But it would be as a business owner, as an employee, that retrospect of knowing, even if you call us, we're not miracle workers. We usually know a lot of the unhoused individuals and know how to have them, move, but there are new people coming into town every day. And then they might leave the next day. So I don't want to make promises I can't keep. I'm a very transparent person. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I want to make sure we're very, very clear. Also, but on your point, there is a lot of specific things we can clean, but it does have to be run through Janice and I as well to make sure that we're following the contract and what is currently allowed. When our contract comes up, things can be changed. They can be changed in the interim with an addendum, but that would be more of a conversation between my RVP, Janice and I. So if there is something, we're currently cleaning the kiosk. It was an issue that they were having, not a big deal. We were just very clear, what can we use on the kiosk? What do you want us to do? I didn't want to hurt anything in the process. So we're just using water and a rag, which is fine. But that's where we wanted to make sure we ask. So if you do make that, just please understand that between Janice and I and the other things we have going on, I can't guarantee an answer within. I can go see what's going on. If it's on private property, pretty big gray area. I'm sure most of you understand that. But we can assist. Do you have any questions, comments? Yeah.
Thank you for what you do. Has there been any discussions about expanding the area of the resource center?
Yes, actually Janice and I just talked about that the other day. The area that has been proposed, due to it being in the middle of winter, and there is only 4 of us, we want to ensure that when we do expand it, it's in the correct area and that we get that all. So it's not going to be changed. We are going to, as far as I'm understanding, add in the resource center itself, because I can make the track over there. But Trust Point right there, we want to be able to figure out the issues and then make sure we're in that right area once it gets discussed. I don't want to do only this part and then not be able to change that. That doesn't help. Yeah. Yeah, so we can, well, technically it's our district. I can go to specific areas because how are you supposed to meet an unhoused individual where they're at when you're not there? So we have little sections that I can't technically clean in the middle due to our contract, but I can make my way over there. That's why we want to ensure that with the New Day Resource Center, that what we see is messed up or having an issue, we can get that added in and make sure that it's clear, because I don't want to change the map and then not be able to do that. I want to leave room for
I
error.
didn't understand, did you say that basically the library is under your jurisdiction, the Day Resource Center will be, the Trust Fund building won't be?
Right now, we're just trying to figure that out. We don't have anything set in stone. But it does have the addition in there and I think the other one was the other park up there is University, thank you. University Park as well. We were just making sure that once we do that, there wouldn't be an area missed or a problem missed. It's in the works of being talked about. Nothing's been set in stone. So that's why I'm here. So that way, if somebody has a concern or comment, you know that you have time to bring it to our attention and how you feel before we're like, I can't do that. I don't want that to happen for especially Trust Point and so on, just to make sure we're all clear.
Well, my comments self-serving on it. But there's also public bike trail
Correct?
right there that is not our property.
Correct.
There's a whole shoreline with a gazebo that looks like it's gonna fall into the water.
I'm aware, we were, when they showed me I literally saw, I walked that trail, when they gave us the update. And then I was taking pictures, trying to understand ahead of time where the possible areas will be. So that way I, as the operations manager, can make sure the deployment is correct, understand if it's public or private property, understand that with the business owner for Trust Point that I could communicate effectively, or if they had issues, they could let us know as well. More open communication for me, I believe, is a big thing. You can email me 12 times. That's fine. I'd rather you have a feeling of being heard and that we can't, or maybe can't do something, or maybe can't get it changed versus feeling like you got left on red.
Well, and I think as a district board, we want to make sure you can do your job to help all of us too, and in downtown in general. Jason and I are in the city government, so we do have a vested interest, but if I could say it one way, it seems like they talk at the library and then they come across the street and get in their arguments. Outside their windows, and we hear people screaming yesterday, the day before, and one of the workers was being threatened. Kind of things were going on, and so, especially now that all the way it's on the public trail, and then have the big resource center. We meet people where they need the services, that they just said, that's where they're gonna be.
I agree.
And so, anything you can do to assist, in the North Barstow District would be greatly appreciated.
I just want to make sure that you guys have a voice too. So that way we're not just doing it and then it may not be in that area and then you're not feeling hurt. So I want to make sure, that's why I'm here this morning, to make sure I connect with you guys and know that I could let you know, like, here's where we're looking, if you are a big voice in this, this is why I am here. I want to make sure you have that voice.
Who decides the process of resetting the map? Like, when that happens, like, who's in the room, because certainly the representatives from Trust Point should be there. Rather than like this being the moment or an email being the moment and then you make the map.
That's a great question, and then we actually, Stephanie and I just met, we're gonna meet on a weekly basis from here moving forward. That was one of my questions too, like, who revises the map and how do we get the data and the information? And I think it's gonna be a little bit change in process from what it was, and that's what.
Okay, and then my other question to follow up that is like with the smart reporting and tracking everything. If there is a call made from Trust Point or in the area that's not currently on the map, is that still getting tracked that we would know it's a hotspot? Because when I look at the map here, it's like, okay, Gibson Ramp is obviously a problem area. But then you kind of have some really soft points in there, but I'm not seeing one over there, but that's probably because you're not going there because you can't. So I'm just wondering if the data, do you have to track a call about an area that's outside your boundaries as well?
To be 100% transparent with you, the last 8 months has been a lot of learning with this new system. It is a company-owned system. So block by block is the only one that has that. It can be tailored to what needs to be seen between Denise and I. I don't have a problem doing that.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of the times when we get calls, if it's like a regular individual, they're not always going to have the exact location, which is an issue for us. So trying to pinpoint that as you're asking, I can try to use my phrases or my wording to see if I can mentally or use Google Maps to pinpoint them, and I can add that to it. That's not a problem.
I'm just more concerned that if we're not tracking it, we're not aware. But there was a time when Jason had to reach out to me, and then I had to reach out to the city custodial staff to try to get.
I had reached out to that
You know.
program auditor creating also.
Yeah, so I'm just worried that all of the information up to this point, knowing this is the problem area, I mean, you guys will know that, obviously. It's protected, it's wooded, it's on the trail, you know.
I am sorry about that. I would
Oh,
have cleaned it up if I was allowed to.
Yeah, don't blame me.
I'm just, I was in that conversation and I'm just like, but it's right there. And that's where I want to make sure that I am helping you guys as much as I
And I
can.
think where our point is that we just really want to make sure that you have all the information you need to make that best determination. And, obviously, they've been in a business over there for years and have already seen the impact of the data resources probably. So, just want to make sure it's looked at.
Right.
There'll probably be a hot spot, like, just there.
We're aware. Like I said, I was taking pictures, what I've already know about the individuals, the areas that they're at. I was taking notes to, when we have time to talk with Janice, due to specific areas and what might need to be done, or just to have that conversation ahead of time. So everybody's transparent in how we feel about that area, and just trying to make sure, I'm really trying to make sure that the individuals who are involved in this have a say, which is why I wanted to bring it up in this meeting. I know that when he mentioned that we do have a plan for that. I just don't want to only do a certain area without having the bids have a voice too. So, yeah. I know.
There's changes happening and.
Yeah.
You know, that has to involve with.
Yeah.
You know, what's happening. And hitch law, I'm not even sure if hitch law. That's the other spot.
Hitch lot's not included in the map.
Not currently, no.
And just a reminder that, correct me, anyone, if I'm wrong, 2 years of funding for the ambassador program through Block by Block, was funded through ARPA, thank you. I wanted to be like AARP, but ARPA fund. And, it hasn't come up lately. We weren't asked during this budget cycle, but I can't imagine that we won't be asked during next year's budget cycle to, participate in the future funding of the ambassador program. So I think this is a great opportunity to help, like, is it a benefit to us? Is there any participation on our end that we need to, make this a successful program? And if so, want it to be funded in the future. So I'm not saying it's our responsibility. I'm just trying to put like a little, start thinking about this now, because a year and a half will go by, quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine it will be a future conversation. Any other items to discuss on the block by block intro before we move on?
I just want to say thank you. I'm on the street a lot downtown, and I know some of the other big boards are like, we haven't really seen them, but I want to know that I am seeing you, and it is a major help to, like, the way downtown, like our downtown gardener, is having a much easier job than she's had in the past with cleanup, and so, things like this can work. We just all need to be able to, coordinate around it. So thank you so much. Your team is doing a great job.
There's only 4 of us.
Yeah.
And 2 of us are outreach and 1 of us is cleaners. So unless I wear a blimp, I don't know how everybody's gonna see us every day.
You're doing a good job.
So in future contact, you said email me, and it sounds like some of you definitely do have Stephanie's contact information. Is there a website or like a card that we could, definitely email out to this group, but also, like, I'm sorry, is Becky making all of that information regularly available in newsletters?
Yeah, so we just did, one of our last, pipelines. We sent out information kind of around the time that you were walking around. As well as, if it's not already on the website, it has plans to go up on the business resource page. I think it's already there.
Okay.
So we don't want to like step on any toes, but I have looked at other cities that have block by block, and like Rochester downtown works their downtown board, like Becky works really closely, but kind of marketing out block by block and showing them in action, on the street, helping visitors, helping, with cleaning tasks, and I think, it's something I'd like to explore a little bit more. As Becky kind of settles in and so do you guys, but, we'd love to be there to help support you in the ways you need to make sure people know who you are and how to use you, for just all the good things you do.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
The cold card is live on the next site, though.
It's on there? Oh my gosh, they knew it.
Okay, then, thank you, Stephanie. We're gonna move on to the banner purchase, item number 7. And this is the action required. We've talked about buying new banners from our capital improvements line item. I could look back through our financials. We've definitely not spent through our capital improvements. I don't know, look that up while I try to introduce this.
I think you have 50,000, but you have the 20,000 set aside for the holiday decor purchase. So there's roughly 30,000 there.
And we were looking to move forward with the banner purchase, which would require action from this board to authorize up to a certain amount. And it would also then entail, just as a reminder, so everybody's on the same page, Becky will work on our behalf to get multiple bids, 3 written quotes, so that we can follow city procurement policy as in our service agreement for this year. And then we would move forward with purchasing the banners and replacement equipment like the brackets as needed. And we were looking to go from, I think we had 30-some banners in the beginning, but as they failed, sometimes rather than replacing the banner, if it's the hardware, they've just been taken down. So we're at 20.
Roughly 20 to 25 are currently up. There's already somebody taken down again. The biggest thing is that there's no more hardware left. So there would need to be a hardware purchase as well as, one of the biggest problems is the bolts that hold them in place, and we'll need to amp up on those as well. But you have, right now, if you walked through, you would think that there was like no planning on where they went, because of where they've come down. And so, I do need to do a walkthrough for your holiday decor. I'm gonna mark out all the holes, and then we can identify which ones you need. But I would definitely say that, I think South Barstow has 40 banners. And again, it's limited by hardware, but you could easily accommodate 40 banners in your district to like fill out the area. You'd avoid the bridge because of the wind, but other than that, there's plenty of areas to do it.
And we were contemplating buying 2 full sets of banners. So that would be like a summer and a winter or a warm and cold season set of new banners and additional hardware for 40 total. And we feel like if you authorize up to $10,000, that would cover it.
And that would be an additional 10 banners for replacement damage. So it's purchase a 50 banner, 40 hardware sets. That makes sense. And then Becky can provide the graphic design for you guys.
Okay, so that's issue number 2, is how much control does this board want over the design? If we wanted to get them, like, I do not have a design for you to approve today. We talked about this last week during the executive committee, so like, we're just not that far. If we wanted to get the new banners up with the wrapping of the light poles that was authorized during our last meeting that we're moving forward with, and that's like faux pine garland with lights for the winter season. If we wanted to get the new banners up by then, there would need to be an individual authorized to approve of the design so that Erin can order them, or we can authorize Becky to move forward with that design.
Can I just add to that though?
Yes.
I did talk to, Sean Malone, who does the banners in South Barstow District, and asked if this was a project you guys decided to go forward, what would make the most sense? At this point, Garland is looking to go out second week of November. So this would have to be a really quick process. That would definitely mean one person would have to review the design to approve. His suggestion was if you did this, that spring would be the most logical next step. And that as Garland comes down, spring banners go up, then you have time to have multiple
Okay.
designs prepared. It's up to you how quickly you wanna move, but I think the garland will be a nice statement. And that would give you guys more time, and the plan would be to use Matt Cavish before he leaves, because he's an excellent graphic designer to provide you 3 or 4 styles that you guys can choose from.
So are you saying that after further looking into it, new winter banners going up the second week of November is not
It can
practical?
happen, it would just, you guys would have to basically allow Julia to make the final decision.
Or someone else?
Or, yeah, or she, one human probably, 1 or 2 at the most, so you're not in a forum, to make that decision for you. But if you would like more time and more input, we can push for a spring start date.
I got a question. With the
Yeah.
design, couldn't you send it out as like a poll?
Can't. Be,
Did we
I-
want a copy? I think we can, right?
but if there is discussion outside of an open meeting, doesn't that violate open meeting law?
I can get you to collect the feedback and then whoever's the chair.
Like put it clearly out in vote.
Like a survey between the.
A lot of discussion, one person saying thing.
As long as you're not in the room with John and Joe at the same time, okay?
And is this subverting open meeting laws in a way, if it's like, if Aaron sends it out to the individuals and Aaron gets feedback from them, then it's not,
Yeah, that'll work.
okay.
Like what you're.
So could you get like 3 designs and send them out? We can.
Yeah, the printing can happen pretty quickly, as we've seen on Water Street. That was a huge turnaround. University Printing did that order. Yeah, so, I mean, Matt's good. I could probably get you something next week if you want, and we could start with winter and then maybe take more time in spring if that helps you.
What do you?
Or you want the kind of,
Ordering at the same time.
oh,
What is self-Barstow doing?
yeah, what's that?
What is self-Barstow doing for that?
For signage.
One of their banners.
They have exactly the same as Julie described. So there's a spring and summer that go up that you'll see right now. There's 4 versions of like a similar design that work together to fill out the 40 banner. And then they have a winter one that will be going up.
Could we
But
Could we just do what self-Barstow do?
With better.
But
design the real fast, real cheap.
Did you have a college student design it for one of their classes?
Oh, no, we've got a professional graphic designer.
I mean, from the downtown customer's perspective, it would make sense if.
I think why wouldn't we?
Well, I can present that as an option. There's a big thing, South Park, Food District at the bottom.
It's the same.
Yeah, I think that, why don't I include what they have for their
And
design?
that would be a very quick turnaround.
Yeah.
That'd be a very easy thing to
Yeah.
we could come.
Might make the most sense to have the.
Because 99% of people don't know that there's a difference between North Barstow and South Barstow. So why
Right.
don't we just do the same signage that South Barstow is?
Yeah, I've lived here for over 4 years and I didn't know there was a difference. No.
And how ratty are your banners? Are they getting close to making a change?
No, they were purchased, winter banners were purchased 2 years, or 2.5, 3 years ago, and then the summer ones are 2 years, and they're still, in great shape. Thomas Lee does store them, which is also nice, so that anytime we would need to call for one or several to be repaired, they'll just come out and come up. So I'll include those in the design, but again, today it'd be nice to know if you would want to consider another option as well. I do think South Park is looking to get some new, winter banners, because that is just one design everywhere versus the summer, spring have, like I said, cohesive 4 styles that make up the bulk of them.
If they're looking to get new winter banners.
Not for this season.
For next season.
Or is it the banner?
Those are, and then each one is reversed color wise. So those are the 2 styles, and then they're in 2 different colors.
I'd make a motion that we, authorize Becky to provide to this group the North Barstow, excuse me, the South Barstow current summer and winter. And then if Matt has some alternative designs, but let's take that back. I move that we just adopt those South Barstow, let's say North Barstow on them, so we can move forward
I would second that.
So this is about the look of, so no further feedback, same colors, just like order more of with different words.
Yeah, I think, I can speak to my emotion, the point that was just raised is, it's one downtown to most people. You know, to us, perhaps in two different districts, but most people look at it as downtown.
So it's making it more difficult than I think it has to be.
I just had a WEDC meeting for Main Street, and one thing they talked about was a sense of, community in place, and they actually touched on consistency in these types of amenities. So I don't think it's a bad idea, but you are your own district and have the right to do things your way, so I just want to make sure that you have those options too.
Any other further discussion on the motion to set the design of the banners for winter and spring?
As far as I say, North Barstow.
It's just a side on the bottom.
Then all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Yeah.
opposed?
Then we also need a motion to approve up to $10,000 purchase 50 banners and 40 brackets. Or
You won't
need banners and brackets to cover our district.
Yeah, I would say 40 brackets makes sense, you probably be wanting to add an additional 20 banners. The brackets. We'll have to be specific, there's a certain vendor that works with the style of poles that you have for that.
I would
So-
just say up to $10,000 to manage the banner.
Second,
Any further discussion? Then all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Then that motion passes as well.
And just a reminder that this is still held within the city, so I'll provide you the quote, and then the city will be paying that expenditure out, not that.
Okay. Item number 8 on our agenda is onboarding process discussion, and I really just wanted to put this on there to say that discussions are at least the city, Becky, and the bid boards, plural, acknowledge that this is something that we want to move forward with. So I didn't want you guys to think that it had completely gotten forgotten. Still really no plan, but there's definitely willingness to collaborate and make sure that there is an onboarding process. Format is not decided.
We've talked a little bit about the city. We've been in conversations with them for several years about reestablishing this they want to do it for all boards and committees, commissions. It's something that kind of went away, I understand, over the years, but we also have talked with the Decky and the bit about having at least a packet of our own that is information to anybody coming on with, very basics. Where our map is for our district, what our basic, task is here, or what our expectations are within our board, and what our requirements are by our business plan, operation plan, and bylaws, and trying to keep our end a little more simple if the city's going to continue or start back up the onboarding process that they once had.
So I know that emails are going out to new board members of bids, basically covering kind of the legal side from the city, but we are looking to do something a little bit more informative about how the bid works, what our district is physically, and trying to get people more comfortable with becoming a new board member. Stephanie?
I was gonna say on the onboarding for boards, commissions, and committees, we're working with the League of Wisconsin municipalities to try to pilot, like government 101 for all our boards, commissions, and committees, and it would be a self-paced program where all of our, staff, council members, board commissions, and committee members would go through all these like series of little short videos with little discussion at the end, and then they'd be certified as like government 101 approved. So we're working on that, and so stay tuned on that, but I do think that the bids have a bunch of functions that are beyond what's included in there, like spending, so it does make sense to me to have an additional, either that you guys create or we help create or whatever.
Yeah, and so far we've talked about Becky, city staff or neighborhood services. And yeah, I mean, then it's legal and accounting too. But seems like, winter is a good time to kind of heads down and put stuff together. Jen McHugh has offered to participate in that process. Is there anyone else that is interested in participating in the formation of that orientation that you want me to know?
I'm gonna offer her up.
Great. Okay, then moving on, if there's some more questions about that. Becky, staff update.
So as you know, we hired a new staff, but we also have another one. So, in addition to Kate, who again will primarily be working on the city end of things, so, in your realm as bids, helping support you and, things. We hired a, event and operations support staff. Her name is Randy McHugh, started yesterday. So she's gonna handle, pick up some of what Matt was doing, and then support me in admin, on the Decky end of things. We also are hiring a marketing intern, to assist our contracted videographer, to get some more social media marketing out, which would also, serve for North Barstow bid investment next year, with your additional $10,000 of marketing services. So we're onboarding this week, and probably in the next several weeks, but you'll see them around. Certainly, I'm still a good point of contact, but Kate will be the bid contact. So, we really want to try to streamline things so that, with her knowledge, of how the city operates, and then of course all the contacts here, that, when we have things come up, you can use Becky as a resource for that, and we can kind of handle the back end conversations to get you the information, probably a little faster, a little more clear, save the city staff some time as well. So that's a goal of ours moving forward. We just had Fall Fest. I hope many of you, were either participating or there. It was incredible. We had Run Placer app information last year and saw we had roughly 11,000 people, just under 11,000 people downtown. And that's what people with smartphones, in that area. This year, I would argue there was well over that amount. It almost felt like at a point of where it was almost a little too big for our area. Oh, yeah, I saw the picture all in one step of Main Street. It was crazy. The one complaint we had was there were too many people, and then they're too hot, of course, and you know how they fall. Overall, really good event. It did kind of mark a moment for Decky of like, wow, this is huge, and we need to do more to support this event in the future, so that it's successful. We didn't have any major incidents, so with the weather being warm and that many people, we were very lucky that nothing happened. So we're gonna start really kind of gearing up for next year. We also need to consider some of the major construction projects that are coming to the South Barstow district and how that might impact, our current footprint. And if we do want to expand, whether that be, the physical, space that we take up or, even hours of operation or how that looks, we're gonna need to start developing that, which could include North Barstow district, in the future, if we wanted to expand down Barstow Street, or it could also go, west towards the river on Grand Avenue. Overall, very positive. I hope you guys had a great time. We raised nearly $3,000 for local charities, through our charity dunk tank that we participated in. I have to tell you, she was in the dunk tank 15 minutes early, which doesn't matter. I don't care. I've never seen someone enjoy being in dunk tank so much, and like, I would invite you back every year. It was remarkable. Our winner was, Whitney with the Children's Museum, and they'll be receiving $1,305 for that this year. So, super great. Other than that, what else is coming up? We're moving right along to spooky season. So, a few things that you guys will want to know about and then share out, please, if you're contacting the district. We'll be doing the same, but, spooky storefront competition is coming back. Kate was runner-up last year, with a Water Street business taking home the big prize. But that's one thing to engage, businesses to decorate their storefronts. And then we encourage, the community to go out, vote on their favorite storefronts. It's just a way to get people acquainted with downtown district. We also are doing trick or treat again. There was a change last year, but it will forever now be the Saturday before Halloween. This helps retain people within the downtown longer, so they're not running off to get home for trick or treat in their neighborhood. And it really made for a little bit bigger event. We saw older kids and families come out and enjoy that time. So 10 a.m. to noon. We do have a sign up registration on our website, and it's really important because we'll be marketing out that map of businesses participating. There's some businesses from outside the downtown that also want to participate, and so we'll need to know too where we can place them if you are not participating. We gave away 3,500 pieces of candy last year and had to just shoo the rest of people away. So just save up your pennies because you got candy to give out. Other than that, we're also already planning for Small Business Saturday. Although I need to get with Nick a little bit more, we have decided to split our Haymarket holiday event away from Small Business Saturday, which in the past it was on the same day, but didn't allow our staff to really do what we should be doing on Small Business Saturday, is really getting the businesses doing marketing and promotion. But we're going to be working with some South Barstow businesses that are Barstow businesses to start a winter walkabout, encouraging businesses to stay open a little bit later, Fridays and Saturdays in the month of November leading up to Small Business Saturday. Encouraging businesses to do something special on those evenings, whether it's a pop-up or marketing a new product or having a singer or something in their space. And so we're going to start the marketing for that soon. So be reaching out to you guys to see if you want to collaborate on those marketing efforts. And we're also looking at how we can bring back some more attention to our local media to draw attention to shopping in downtown. So those are some things that are coming up. I just want to remind you that the Decky website is that source of information for you. So you usually find everything on there. We're working on getting that up to date all the time. And then of course, if you're not on our pipeline yet, please get added because that contains a lot of information. One last thing I totally forgot is that the Zombie Pub Crawl is coming back. The brewing project is going to take over reins on that, and they will be, it will be the same night as the downtown trick or treat, so on the 25th, Saturday the 25th. So it should be a very busy day downtown. One last event we want to update you on is the hybrid towel is coming back. So if you missed it last year, hit the screen, come down this year. It's a full beaver moon, and we'll be hiking. We're going to partner with the brewing project this year to kind of have a home base to starting point for a walk up to the bridge, and then back for a kind of gathering afterwards, howlers and growlers, maybe some food trucks. Super fun. We had about 150 people last year. We're hoping to grow it this year. Simple free event. Super unique jokes there. We get to just scream your stress off the bridge for about 2 minutes with 149 other folks. So, any questions? Excitement? I can feel it, you guys. We've been doing a lot of other stuff, but that's the fun stuff. I should say one more thing. We are underway. We had our second meeting for WEDC to become accredited as the Main Street. The wealth of information that we are getting from not only WEDC, but we had a representative from Main Street America yesterday present. We were lucky enough to get a crazy amount of Mosaic and Placer app information about our district and who's coming here that I'd like to share out with all of you. Not super digestible to the layman, obviously, but really interesting. And one of the things that I found most interesting is that first, people are coming downtown from their homes, and when they leave, they're going home. So we are a destination. That's wonderful. Second, over 60% of the people spending time down here are solos and singles with in the range of 25 to 35 with a household income of $15,000 less. That's not ideal. It's great. 60%.
Wow.
And that's of 5 million visits a year.
Yes.
They're whole students, right, they live here. But I think the next like highest represented group was, families on the move at 7%. So these are things that by being Main Street accredited, that we now have more access to, and this information is so helpful when we're either doing economic development improvement of what we eat, grocery store, or, really how we shape our businesses in this changing economic climate of what people are doing, why they're coming down, what they're looking for. And so, we're really hoping to beef that up as we become ingrained in the Main Street, and then share that information out with people who need to know. So,
Okay, we have some really great city staff updates, but just want to point or like touch on a couple other things and acknowledge that it's been really nice having Decky as our service provider take care of the landscape and planter contract because it's going well and it's like, you know, I'm not involved and it's great. The flowers and the planters are going to stay until they don't look good. We're getting winter greens. All of that is handled and on track. The kiosk is no longer a touch screen, but Jason Mans has been amazing in getting content that is relevant. And I know, I'm sorry. You know, I think I have it figured out and then I swap it and then I have to refigure it out. Winning.
Property rating with Decky here too, we have been posting same events that Decky talks about. There is a slideshow that will go through, so all the information is available on that kiosk if anybody's ever curious.
So Jason's agreed to do this for us for the time being. Eventually, it's going to get taken over by Decky, and I intend to continue to have it as this slideshow of relevant information rather than a touch screen because it's affordable for us. The content is already available on the website. It gets put into this format until we change, you know, pace as a board. That's gonna be how it goes. So let me know if you want this as a larger discussion in the
I
future.
think our change in format to going from what was a touch screen, which had pluses and minuses. We've gone to adding QR codes to everything on there now, so if you want your information on your own phone and take it with you, I think that in this phone age is probably the better answer right now. It seems to be working fine.
Stephanie?
Yeah, I just want to make sure for you guys specifically, if it seems to be malfunctioning or not working, if you want to let us know who to contact right away for that, so we can keep up on that, so it's not down for 2-3 days without you guys knowing. I want to make sure that when we walk by it every day, that we know who to contact just in case, or if we get.
I would say Decky's always a good resource and we can get a hold of Jason. It will be housed under Decky soon. Jason met with Graham Barn yesterday briefly to talk about that transition. And so, I'd love to take more off your plate and be able to help you also. I'd be able to.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that
Thank
you
you.
guys knew that we could help with that too, at least watch the kiosk, because I can't expect you to be down there every day like we are.
On to city staff update. I listed some things that we discussed at the executive committee meeting that I thought would be of interest to the whole board, but that's not to say that you guys can't bring up other items. That's how we generally have it as city staff update, and it's whatever you'd like to talk about. Clearwater Parade is up there first. That's coming up, is it December 5th? I believe. And West Grand provides funding for the fireworks. I hear it's actually an amazing event. So I guess I just wanted you guys to know that the Clearwater Parade is happening soon.
Yeah, if you want to float in there, sign up. Now's the time. For first bid.
Who wants to talk about the downtown collaboration?
I can surely do that, and I'll let my cohorts chime in. I would say in June or July, we really say it's been coming for a long time, obviously, us for the downtown area, and you guys struggling with kind of the unhoused population, the after effects of that. And so recognizing that we had, I would frank, some of our police officers having to handle things that weren't police officer jobs. cleaning up their garbage and trying to have people sort out their items and pare down items so that, we had a kind of a cleaner, a better environment and weren't taking up handicap parking stalls, where they shouldn't be taken up. So, we worked with everybody in the city, every department in the city is being representative. Janice has been fantastic. So is Stephanie, Aaron, everybody, and asking pretty much one representative from every department to come out to the South Barstow, technically not the South Barstow bid, but
Just outside.
just outside, down to the Seaver Lot, Wilson Park area. We were doing it bi-weekly, having a representative to boots on the ground, walk around the neighborhood, clean the neighborhood, and also like big picture problem solve some of the issues that are going on. So that is occurring and is going to continue to occur. And we are going to, as that group transition to all areas of the city that are going to need to be serviced and have some of that problem solving occur during those peak times of the year. So we expect that in the colder months, we're going to be out in the parking garage store. We're going to be talking with the unhoused individuals that are living in other cars in the parking ramps or staying in the parking ramps. And then also when the Day Resource Center opens up, I expect that there will be more traffic, right, kind of in that area and then filtering down here. And we will be doing the same thing. And that group will be working on that. And so it's also not just city staff, I should say, it's Department of Human Services has come to the table as well. They are putting out an outreach team, a homeless outreach team to directly offer services in the field multiple times a week now. Stephanie is also doing that block by block. We know we are not going to solve homelessness. I'll be honest, it's Stephanie and that the Department of Human Services are trying to work very collaboratively to come up with a larger scale housing plan and 5-year plan model. For our city, what we are trying to do with this group effort is reduce the disorder and neighborhood disruption and cleanliness issues that we continue to see with unhoused population. And in addition, contacting the Janice's to-do list, engaging those homeless service providers to get out there with us and do more of this together. So that is, like I said, that's being worked on, and we've been out there multiple times a week and we'll continue to do so. So please, if you guys are seeing specific areas in your region that need attention, I'm happy to be a contact. Janice, I'm sure can be a contact point, so can Stephanie and Aaron, and then we'll make sure that our group shifts focus and gets out to those specific needs. So.
Like a round of applause is in order. That sounds like amazing. And
We're
it's
working on it. It's not perfect. But.
I've heard that it's really difficult and gross, and I appreciate.
I will give Stephanie kudos. No lie, she volunteered to pick up the biggest pile of poop I had ever seen. So, gross. And I'll be honest, when we talk about bathrooms and everything like that, that is a larger conversation. When we talk about that big picture problem solving, that is being discussed. Specifically, our hopes would be to Department of Human Services is trying to work with Sojourner to get them to have open hours during the day for the bathroom facilities to be open there. So working on like some of those things, trash, garbage pickup. But I'm all ears and open to ideas and your concerns.
Thank you guys so much. I think that's the biggest conversation we talked about at the deck yesterday too, is that if people have to go to the bathroom on the street, that means there's a need for bathrooms. And so I would just echo that, that is a concern of businesses. And that's kind of one of the problems they see is typically when unhoused individuals are coming in mostly for bathrooms. So, thank you guys for doing that.
As an added point to Bridget, we are educating as well to make sure if anybody has question about city ordinances or any of the laws that we are trying to educate as we do this, I'd go out ahead of time like, hey, you're not supposed to be laying there, or this is considered camping, or just to make sure that that information is known. So just to make sure I support Bridget in this, that we are trying to make sure everybody understands. So if you see us out there doing something, they have been educated prior. It's not that we're just going out there doing whatever. So I just want to make sure I supported you on that too.
And education has been the larger part in offering resources, but enforcement action is occurring when appropriate. So I think it was Laura from Shift a couple weeks ago alerted us that somebody was staying in the back trailer off of that lot, and obviously had cut the lock and was sleeping in the trailer. And so that warranted enforcement action, right? So you can't do that. That was private property. You broke into somebody's property and are staying there. So, like I said, outreach and education is the primary point, but enforcement action is occurring when warranted.
I don't want to take up too much time, but I did want to ask, good camping in cars in public lots that allow you to be there 48 hours and longer, is that camping? Is that enforceable? We just get into like a little lot, obviously
Yeah.
Cedar Street has the problem. I just don't know when to call or when not to, because it's
Yeah.
hard to tell.
So technically, in living out of your vehicle, we have to clarify with the city attorney's office, living out of your vehicle in a public lot or street is camping.
Okay.
Sleeping, obviously, doing that. We try to obviously be, I should say, considerate of the fact of like, you don't necessarily have anywhere to go. But so a lot of the times that vehicle is just getting marked for 48-hour parking. We're having that preemptive conversation of offering resources and then asking them to move along. But yes, in certain situations where they're stepping out of the vehicle, urinating, defecating, the vehicle's broken down and has been there for a considerable amount of time. Those are when it's gone over and above, then yes, we're camping.
I do know a lot of the vehicles or people in the vehicles. I do know on first name basis, giving them resources, doing what we can, informing them like, hey, you can't be here overnight. Make sure you move. We are only open till 7 p.m. So
Sure.
to be honest with you, anything after 7, it'd be lovely Bridget here. So just to make sure we're clear on that for our hours, 7:30 to 7. So that way you guys know.
And just for again, the mapping, back to that a little bit. Does your map cross the river over to, like the Dollar General property or any of that?
Not currently. Eventually we hope to open our program up to all the businesses that need the service, but currently right now with our budget, we're kind of constricted. So if that'd be something you guys would like to talk about, you can email Janice and I, and hopefully Decky can help us with that. And we could try to get us expanded and the right amount of staff and the right amount of response time for all the businesses. You all deserve to have a say and you all deserve to have clean and friendly spaces as well. And I want to make sure I do what I can.
Do I move on to paid parking?
This is a packed agenda.
I know. Thanks, Todd, for being here.
I did bring up a map. This was, I believe this was included with the council, packet at the end of this group. So the maps reflects the way the ordinance was changed. So Dave asked me to fill in for him today, to talk about the downtown parking, ordinance that the council passed. It is going to take effect, beginning of June of next year. The pink area would be $1 an hour and the green area would be 50 cents per hour. And it would be, weekdays and Saturdays, not Sunday or holidays, from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. So, and the city is still ironing out the logistics of all that, the enforcement of it. Where kiosks are gonna go. So I guess if anyone had any questions, I'll try to answer that.
I've got a question. I've been curious about the 11 p.m. Why so late?
I don't have a whole lot of answers to that. I think they wanted to have the evening hours for dining and entertainment. The movie theater, the restaurants, and center, guessing those folks that are parking for those businesses.
I should have mentioned that the place we're at yesterday, we found that the highest traffic times are from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. in Eau Claire, and then with a spike between 7 and 9. And I think part of it is capturing tourism, people from outside in, and so if they're going to a show or movie or dinner. But that was also interesting to find. So.
I think also the council wanted to move the start time back, to in part, preserve for business traffic, daytime business traffic to not, incur costs for those, visitors, but then they want to maintain the total hours, so that's why they pushed that on an hour and
There's been, some other sort of updates with, parking and they're not all in the North Barstow district, but they're affected downtown. The Grand Riverside deck is in serious physical condition. And it's gotten to the point where it's difficult even to maintain safety levels. So there was a decision made that they would not be maintaining the upper deck as far as snow removal because the snow plows chip up the surface, further causing it to fall apart. So they decided to close the upper deck starting November 1st. So permit holders have been notified of that. If people are paid up beyond that, they'll get a refund for what they didn't use. It's 3 months at a time, but it's all staggered depending on when they got the permit. And then the lower level would be, that would continue to operate until March 1st.
Are you offering to move them into that new? Bus?
Hopefully by March 1st, the new bus terminal parking 2 levels will be open. I don't have a date for the opening of that parking, but it's anticipated.
Is there
spring.
Is there an option for the people that are kicked out of Grand Riverside, because a lot of those are office business people, to move to that bus terminal? What do you call it?
Transit center.
Or is it first, in the end, it's all the apartments gonna take up that, so that we won't have
I think it was, designed to have about packed 50-50. So half would be the residents and then there would be public parking the other half.
how many is that?
Which, would be about 60 each. There's 130 stalls. So it's roughly about the same as the Grand Riverside.
So they could switch over there.
First come, first served.
Would the transit center potentially be all permit parking then, or would there be a section that is for general public on a daily basis?
So the residents will have to get permits as well.
Correct. I'm just wondering if, of all 120 spaces could technically be permitted, which would mean that we don't have a public parking option for people visiting for the day. Or if there would be like a select, like 20 spaces that are for daily parking.
I don't know.
Okay.
The idea was to have daily public parking also available. Right?
I think that would be
Whatever
great.
open spaces. We'd have to decide what is the number. If you're gonna have residents in half and then so the remaining 60 to 65, what's the number where we can sell the optimal number of permits, but yet still have open spaces shared public.
Thank you. With AI and how fast information travel, I've already received 3 cold calls from companies who want me to turn my lot into paid parking because they know that I'm gonna be struggling to police my own lot. We need the largest free lot that's used fast throughout the day in Eau Claire, in downtown Eau Claire. So I'm wondering a couple things. What type, are you using the same technology that currently is in the parking rooms? Is that the company that's gonna be, okay? And, is there any more discussion or action about, reduced permits for wage workers that work down here? And do you think that's part while they work? Like the top of the ramp, top of the alleyway ramp, or something, that was part of the feedback and conversation that sounded like.
I haven't seen anything like that as far as for reduced rates for parking, monthly parking. It may just be discussions that I haven't been part of. And then getting back to the other companies, I've had a couple of those calls too from companies. One of them was a company that we actually considered previously, before we got Passport. And a couple of the And so, and he said, well, I've got one, and I think it's the former Wells Fargo lot. He said they were their customer. I haven't gone to look to see what,
Yeah, I think Jake Cap utilizes them right now, currently.
okay,
I think just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no,
I was just gonna say, on both of those, one, I know that that's a goal, is to have, reduce some kind of location for reduced cost, or business permits, like longer term living. So that, like, David's the main point person on this, and he's fishing right now, so, but on the second point, I think that's a really important piece of information, because I think it really benefits the whole downtown and the whole community if we're all on the same vendor. And so like maybe if anybody has an opportunity to have a paid parking in their lot, we should confer first, to make sure it's like seamless across all the different, you know what I'm saying? And we could also, even the city could do the enforcement as well, if that's.
I'm a grocery store, I can't start charging my customers to park in the lot. They actually own the lot, like we paid $500,000 for a lot. And there, my 7,000 owners need to be able to not walk into a full lot when there's 5 people shopping.
But part of the strategy with, managing parking spaces downtown is that more private lot, instead of building big structured parking, which is like whatever, 40,000 per slot, we want to make sure there isn't unused parking spaces at times when other groups, like after your store closes or whatever. So like, if there are people with private lots, we should think about how to include them in the parking spot. You know, whether or not that's your lot.
What company or the city you are going to use?
I mean, we have what's our,
we're using Passport. And that's what I was getting at. So this other company, and I've been talking to them, and we're open to other companies because there can be integration so that you could use the Passport app or another app that maybe you have on your phone from living somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. It's not always easy, and it sometimes can add to the confusion. But this other company, one of their huge selling points is that they will do all the installation for free. So the city doesn't own any equipment, it's basically no cost, but they take most of the revenue, or they take a large portion of the revenue. So you're paying for it in another way because you're not getting the revenue. And then the other thing was they have smart meters, which keep track of, they will install them all along the street, and they have a electronic eye, like a camera. And it will say where there's an open spot, who's paid, who hasn't. But then again, you're putting in a bunch of parking meters, then the decision was made that we don't want a bunch of parking meters in our downtown.
now that we're in implementation phase, in our current budget proposal, unless it gets cut, we have, one-time funding for ongoing consulting work. So I think a lot more of these discussions can happen before any kind of implementation, and we can have, as a community, figure out how we can manage our available parking. So there will be a lot more expertise available on how best to do this.
Tom is also going to fill us in on the Galloway ramp. As a reminder, a couple months ago, we learned about some of the issues in the Galloway ramp, including excessive noise and speed from people abusing the ramp. Is that fair to say? And we were just like, Dave Silberg had said that like maybe arms were going to get installed, and like what's kind of the current status?
So they put in speed bumps on several of the levels, which was sort of the low cost, easier fix to see kind of how it would work, because they were non-invasive as far as drilling holes and all that kind of stuff. They held up pretty well. There was a couple of them that would get knocked off, and the street department had to fix them. I haven't heard anything in the last month or so.
Those speed bumps
So they have
that
speed
came out
bumps.
were fixed. They
Yes,
were
they were fixed.
reinstalled.
Yep. So that is intended to help from speeding through. I don't know that it stops them from screeching their tires, but I guess it keeps you from going a certain distance without, flow. And then also they cordoned off the top level because there weren't people really parking up there. We didn't have enough parkers that we needed this parking space. So when it was empty, it became a racetrack. So they have barricades up, that can be taken down when there's an event or the parking is needed.
And did I hear correctly that the motion sensing arms have been decided against? Like change plan? Not
For right
moving
now.
forward with
I would say just because that's a significant expense. Hoping that what's there now will deter some of, kind of get them out of the habit of using it as a fun space.
Any other questions about the Callaway ramp? Sorry, I realized I just asked all my questions.
I just have a reminder that, with the Galloway ramp to, Bridget, I think you had talked to maybe last time that there's certain laws that can't be implemented within the ramp. So possibly looking at certain ordinance changes that can help with kind of calming that behavior in a way that's enforceable. Can you, like,
Yeah.
just briefly?
I'll be honest, that's really hard,
Right.
in the fact of like, what happens is that state statute doesn't apply to private property. So I hate to break it to you, and I don't mean to cause like, ruckus this weekend, right? But like, the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit zone that's like in festival lots is not enforceable. Right? Like, oh, I'm gonna go crazy and this weekend. But yeah, like a 30-mile-per-hour, limit on the street isn't enforceable on a private lot. So, that's what we struggle with like speeding. There is exhibition driving, but what we have, which is an ordinance and which is enforceable. We haven't seen a lot of that in the ramp, and the equipment violations that are occurring in the ramp, the loud mufflers and everything like that, on the street where I can enforce it aren't necessarily, I should say, some of them are excessive, and I'm not saying that they're not, right? Like there is equipment violations, they're coming in there and they're having their car shows and they have illegal equipment on it. I can't enforce that equipment if I see it in the ramp. I have to have an officer that waits outside and waits for him to drive on the public street. And then in addition, the ramp, that amplifies that noise, right? So it might not be that loud on a public street, but in the ramp, it's really loud. So there's just, there's legal challenges. The problem with that is you'd be adopting certain state statutes in the city ordinance, and that can be really tricky. I think, and Todd and I talked quite a bit. We will continue to patrol the ramps. We'll obviously continue to address those issues. I have a neighborhood meeting with that neighborhood next week. I'll get updates on how it is going, especially from the individuals that live in the apartment nearby. I think the speed bumps and closing off the top of the ramp have helped. We'll continue to look to more environmental deterrents. And I think was the talk of like citing individuals for the parking violation. I think if some of those teenagers get a few parking tickets for going in the ramp, they'll quit going in there.
And I think it helps to have people walking around too, just having an official looking uniform. They're like, oh, I better clear out.
Yeah. So, but we'll continue to monitor it. But yeah, to your point, it's not off the table. It just is more difficult because they're state statutes.
Any other city staff updates?
I just want to say that, the transfer center is open now, so that's another area where we are, managing and paying attention to. And as you all know, we're very short staffed, so we're really trying to figure out how to cover all these different areas successfully. So, but that is a place that does have public back.
And they're open without a key?
I don't know that.
Okay. Sorry, one more thing about because I think it's really important because we talked about it this week, but just to share with the board, and Todd, you can probably speak to it, but if many of you remember, we received a Tiger grant for the transit center. And what that meant was as we displaced our public parking for the ramp, we had to provide it for free. That's why the Main Street lot was open and Christ Church Cathedral lot was open. With the top of the Grand Riverside deck closing, there's 10 or 15 spaces. And then there's an additional 3 that were taken away on Gray Street because buses can't actually make that sharp of a turn. So it actually impacts that part of South Barstow significantly with those 16 spaces going away. The other piece that I just want to say is Schlegel Milch will be reopened for public parking. However, the transit center may need to use that again temporarily as the roof gets finished. And so that won't be happening immediately. I just think that's really important that people hear Schlegel opening, but then they see the concrete blocks. It's because transit may have to move back to the temporary site as they continue to finish pieces of the transit. So tell all your friends not to call the city and complain that's what's happening.
Thank you.
Just after 9 o'clock. I really tried to. No, it's fine. Other announcements?
I'll just really quickly say that the downtown neighborhood association that is recently formed is having their annual meeting on Monday at the co-op upstairs. And we have our Monday night values dinners on every Monday night, so you can get a super cheap dinner and then go to that meeting if you are interested. I'm sure that any listeners would be invited to that.
Okay. Other announcements? We are adjourned. Good job. Good meeting. Thank you all.
Okay.
We're having, I'm sure you were.